Hi, this is a continuation of Chapter 9, Cognitive Development. Children have improvements in attention. We're not born able to pay attention. So we notice that they're able to sustain a little bit more attention between 2 and 3.5 years. That's due to growth in the frontal lobe. And again, if we scaffold them and help them and assist them with trying to concentrate, wait their turn, sit quietly, it improves over time. So the more we plan and the more we are consistent, the more children's attention is actually improved. Memory, recognition is better than recall. So they're able to recognize certain things like they had seen that before, but when you say, "What did you do yesterday?" or "Where did you go last weekend?" it's harder for them to recall exact, experiences in time. But their memory is starting to develop. Familiar events, they start to remember as stories, so they'll tell you, elaborate stories, and adults help them, keep track of, oh, that was when you were 2, or that, keep the facts straight as children get older. Now, we have differences in our mental development, and the differences are due to different things like your home environment. Is your home a place where there's lots of different toys, books, interactive, hands-on learning, or is it a home that maybe just doesn't have those kind of resources for children? What kind of quality is the child care or preschool program that the child is in? Is it child-centered? Or is it more academic? Or is it more of a daycare? And television, is the child maybe watching limited educational programming? Or is the child really involved in a lot of exposure to just entertainment type programs? Well, they looked at, different ways to stimulate children's cognitive development, through toys, games, reading materials, and things that you would see in the home. So here's just some examples of a high quality home for preschoolers. You can pause it and take a look at that. How to support language. We want to recast. So we want to reconstruct incorrect speech into correct form. So when children say, things that maybe aren't correct, like my son would say when he was younger that a group of cows were cowls. So he would say, "Look at the cowls." And I would say, "Oh, look at the cows? Yeah, you see the group of cows?" And rather than telling them that they are wrong, you just reconstruct it into correct grammar. You can also elaborate on children's speech. So when they say, "Mommy, go," you could say, "Oh yeah, Mommy went to the store," and finish the sentence for them to show them the full grammar in sentence structure. So parents and caregivers and different adults should also listen attentively, elaborate again on what they're saying, model correct usage. That many times is difficult when we find certain things they say so cute, but we really should be saying it the correct way so that they're developing proper language, and stimulating them and encouraging them to keep communicating. Around 2 years old, children start to understand the pragmatics of conversations. Again, when they have older siblings, that helps. They can become more advanced. But they start to adapt their language to social expectations by 4, kind of understanding how it is to interact and have friendships. And telephone talk, I don't know how many of you have tried to talk on a cell phone to a really young child. It's not very easy. It starts to get a little bit easier between 4 and 8 years old. Again, understanding how a phone works, that they need to keep it up to their ear, that, that tends to improve as they get older. So some quality preschool programs. We have child-centered programs. Maybe projects-based curriculum or emergent curriculum where they kind of see what is emerging among the children and let's create our curriculum based on that. Or is it more academically structured? Do children have more formal lessons where the teacher is more, the structure of the day? And either one may work for children. It just really depends on what the parents' belief is on how they want their child to be raised in those early years and developing their cognitive structure for school. So Head Start was started in 1965 and trying to battle poverty, thinking if we can educate the young, hopefully they could get out of that cycle of poverty before the next generation. So Bronfenbrenner was a co-founder, and he showed them that we really need to include all the systems. That's why we get funding from the government, whether it's state preschool or Head Start preschool gets federal funding. They have connections with, doctor's offices, with agencies on the EXO level, the meso level. They encourage relationships between the teachers and the parents, and the school and the parents. And micro, again, having the parent coming into the classroom and participating and being engaged, and also being a quality teacher, being part of that micro for the child. Signs of a Great Preschool, I have that on Blackboard, you can check that out. But lastly is theory of mind, and a child's mind is developing again over time. So you can also think about it as metacognition, which is thinking about thought. But toddlers start to understand that thinking goes on in your head. And you can tell they do by using words like, oh, I remember we did that. Meaning, oh yeah, in my head, I remembered that yesterday we went to McDonald's. Or, I think we should read a book. Let's pretend to be pirates. So using that language shows that a child is starting to understand that thinking goes on in their head. But they also believe behavior is based on desire. So whatever you do, they think you wanted to do that. So if you get punished, the parent wanted to punish you. And it wasn't that they wanted to, it's that they were trying to teach a lesson, but the child doesn't really understand that. Well, when they get to preschool age, they start to understand that. And they will become more manipulative, maybe, hurting another child and then saying, oh, it was an accident. So they try to change your belief. Oh, he didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident. Therefore, he's not going to get in trouble. I don't desire to punish him because it wasn't on purpose. Now, with school-age children, they understand the false belief. So the man here is showing the boy that, look, the Band-Aids are actually in the empty box, in the unlabeled box, not in the Band-Aid box. If Susie came in, so that's the puppet, where would she think the Band-Aids are? And the older child is going to say, oh, she's going to get tricked and think the Band-Aids are in the Band-Aid box, but they're actually in the other box. Now, the younger children are egocentric, right? So they're going to say, oh, she's going to say they're in the unlabeled box because that's where they know they are. So think about this when you're looking for a child's theory of mind regarding the preschool anecdotal records. It's a lot easier to find things like I think or I remember, but you can also watch for children who are trying to be manipulative. That manipulation is trying to manipulate the mind, and that is actually a development of theory of mind. So that is the continuation of Chapter 9, and please again go back to Blackboard and make sure you've completed the tasks for this chapter.